Hi, everybody. Shanoa Grove here. Very excited to have Jillian Michaels with us, a fitness trainer and certified nutritionist. And she's going to share some of her wisdom with the members of our association, Texas REIAs today. And just want to welcome you. You've been so influential in so many people's lives with when it comes to coaching, when it comes to mentoring, when it really ultimately comes to changing people's lives, their experiences, and just in so many different ways. I'm just so impressed and so excited to be here with you today. Thank you so much for joining us and being part of our message, our group, and hopefully encouraging some of the folks that are here to get started and making some changes in their personal lives. So just want to say hello, welcome.
Oh my gosh, that was quite an intro. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, so I'm super curious about how you first got started in terms of, clearly you're into fitness before you started helping people, but what made you make that move from just doing it for yourself to really doing it for other people and just kind of being so impactful in others' lives?
It's a great question. You say doing it for yourself versus doing it for other people. And while literally I know what you mean, right? Like training yourself and then you train someone else. I would say metaphorically it's still for me, right? Or it's I love what I do. I make a good living doing what I do. And it brings me meaning doing that kind of work. So in its own way, it is still for me. It's just an extension of it being for me because it is so rewarding for me both personally and professionally. I fell into it, and I mean quite literally fell into the job. I was training for my black belt at 17, and people would come up to me in the gym and ask me how much I charged. And I was like, for what? And luckily it was a training session. I was like, because, I wasn't a trainer. So I was like, what do you mean? So I thought to myself, like, wait a sec. Like I was making, I think, five, six, $7 an hour delivering pizza. And I thought, like, how much does this job pay? This seems like a cool way to make money. And so I was like, all right, let me try this out. And fortunately, my mother was the voice of reason, and she was like, I think you need like some sort of certificate. Like you can't just, you got to do something. So she paid for me to get my first certification. And to be quite honest, I fell into it, started doing it, and it was like the more I did it, the more clients got referred to me, and I ended up building that aspect of my business relatively effortlessly in those early stages. And I really think it's just authenticity, passion, and perseverance for what you do. And then, of course, from there, right, it's like doing the work, grinding, going above and beyond. But in its inception, it was absolutely selfish in every conceivable way because I loved doing it.
Well, you've certainly impacted so many people's lives as you've shared some of your gift. And, I think the idea of combining the things that we do for our business with and kind of building out that passion, I will say for me in real estate, when I first got started, all I wanted to do was replace my income and then, buy and sell houses. Right. So that was
Yeah.
my goal. But it wasn't until I realized that the people whose houses I'm buying and selling, man, I'm changing the trajectory of their lives and even of their
Yeah.
kids' lives. And it's like, that's pretty
Yeah.
powerful. And then I started helping other people through the process, kind of like, you help people through their fitness journey. And it was really wonderful to see how they were able to quit jobs that they hated to do things that they loved, and then also impact their family and just be more present in many ways. And then as I watched them and sort of the tentacles of the energy that I was giving, if you will, reach out and impact some of these other families, it just kind of really came full circle for me. And it really felt like, man, my work here is done and it feels really good. But I
Yeah.
still want to continue to go and grow and give more and be more present and use some of these gifts that I've been given, some of these blessings, and continue to share those blessings with other people. And it's such a powerful place to be. It was, you combine your work with your passions, right? So I love that you do that. I love that you have been able to work with so many people and help so many people.
Oh, well, thank you. And I appreciate everything that you're doing to achieve the same in your line of work.
So I know you've worked with a lot of people who have gone and been part of groups, and sometimes they're able to maybe get to this level with group training, but they're able to get to this level or higher with some of that individual or personalized training. How would you kind of consider that journey in terms of, moving people along in that process to kind of really get out of it what they need?
Gosh, it does depend on the individual. There are absolutely certain benchmarks for certain goals that I aim to hit. Um, and the time frame can shift depending on the individual, right? So, if it's somebody who's dealing with extreme obesity and the emotional and psychological issues that go along with that, my set of goals for them is very different than a guy who's like, I just got dad bod, I want to lose 20 pounds. With that guy, I'm like, all right, these are the basic rules. Don't eat this, do eat that. Make sure to move this often, do it this often. It's very cookie cutter, but it also depends on what the issue is, right? So what solutions you put into play and who the individual is. So what time frame you give that person for those benchmarks, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think, as I think about being a part of a group, being a part of an association, I think that's so critically important just to be around other people with that same mindset, right? And then be able to have that as your new group of normal. And then, what I see in my personal experience in both fitness and in business is at some point being in a group environment, you're getting to this level, but to really get that personalized, look and really kind of tweak the dial a little bit on your, either your, physical nature or even your business. You've got to really have someone on your team who says, yeah, I've been there. I know what you're going to, I know how to help you get that slight edge. And I know you work with, some people pushing them, as and accountability and both, with permission, of course, but and very direct ways to really be able to make people peak performers, right?
I I think that people seek out the coach that is right for them. I'm not right for everybody. However, that is your job, right? As a coach, is to. I was just talking with JT Fox about that this morning. Is that a coach has perspective we don't have. We all have blind spots, personally and professionally. And there's information we also don't yet know. So we might not see the ways in which we can't get out of our own way that someone else can see very clearly, right? Because they're not emotionally attached to any particular issue or outcome. And whether it's fitness or whether it's real estate or any other business for that matter, you seek a coach for expertise, somebody who knows what you don't know. And I have people that help me in a variety of aspects of my life, whether it's business or personal fitness. No, I got that one covered. Um, but I utilize that information to make me better faster
Yeah.
and I help people in the same way.
Yeah. For me, when you kind of get to a certain age, it's like you don't want to figure it all out by yourself anymore. You can, right? You're capable of it, clearly, but
It's a
it's like
lot
how much,
harder. And it
yeah,
takes a
how much
lot
time do
more
you want to
time.
spend? Yeah, how much
and
more time do you want to spend?
and there are things you just can't see. Like I find that I think of myself as like, wow, I'm successful and I've got it all figured out. You know what I mean? And then JT, something was going on this morning when we were talking, and he's like, "What's the matter with you? Why haven't you established this boundary?" And just said, "No, that doesn't work for me right now." And I was like, and then you realize that on some level, that as a woman, maybe it's like, maybe I am afraid for them to call me a bitch again. Or maybe, or maybe I do want to be like, I got it, I can do it all. And like I didn't even realize that I was still doing that until it compromised a meeting that we had. And you know, sometimes you can't always do it by yourself, to be honest. And that's a perfect example of somebody from the outside saying to me, like, hey, what's happening here? This is ridiculous. No. And I was like, oh my God, he's 100% right. This is crazy. So, certain things we can accomplish on our own, certain things I think we do need some help.
So I love the idea of boundary setting. I think that's so critically important in your business and your life. And I actually saw a post on your Facebook page that talked about that recently. So I love that. And in fact, all of the coaches who coach for me, I tell them, like, don't answer the phone at midnight, because once you set that, now if you don't answer the phone at midnight one time, people are like, well, I thought we had this thing, and then they get upset. But hey, I want to ask you. I am curious to know. Gosh, as a woman, I don't
I already know where
feel
this is going. And
well.
I literally, and I'll do my best to answer it. Go ahead and hit me.
Well, no, I don't necessarily feel like the world is against me. I feel like the world is 100% for me. And I see a lot of, and like people will come in, well, as a woman, I'm like, no, I'm just a person. Like that's how I see myself. And I really don't kind of differentiate in terms of, being the boss, or in terms of having knowledge. And I'm wondering, for you, do you feel like that need to differentiate yourself in that way? Or do you feel like that need to, like, kind of bond in that way? Or I just want to talk about work. I just want to talk about business. I just want to talk about being our best self. And I don't want to talk about gender per se.
I don't feel the need to do it. I do experience a bias. Um, and I could give you a million examples. Like, there is quite a big lawsuit that my company has been dealing with for a decade. And we had a really big argument coming up in court over it. And there was a mistake. I noticed something and I was like, no, no, no. This is actually important that you know what actually happened here, because the other side was arguing this one point, right? So I spoke to my business partner, and then he's like, email Richard, who's the lawyer. So I email him and I'm like, hey, just so you know, this. Doesn't respond. So then my business partner's like, do you ever read that brief from Richard? And I was like, yeah, I called you, I emailed him, he didn't respond. He goes, oh yeah, he called me about it. And I was like, he called you about it? Oh, okay, it happened to me. I'm the one who emailed him and he called you about it. So then because they're boys now, right? So then I emailed the lawyer and I was like, I expect that when I email you, you will respond to my email. And I had to all of a sudden be a little bit bitchier than I normally want to be, but I experience that a lot. And it's a constant struggle of, like, setting your boundaries, demanding respect, and not being a bitch. So I don't find that men struggle with those things. And as cliche as it is, I find it to be very real, very alive and well. Frustrating. I work to find ways around it. But I do think we deal with different things as women in the workplace, that being one of them.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. I wanted to just let you know that I've got my tickets to the gun show. I'm feeling very strong,
You
and thank
sure
you so
do.
much for the inspiration and all that you do to continue to inspire others to kind of follow your path and to learn and to grow. And appreciate your time today. So thank you so much, Jillian, for joining us.
No, thank you. Have a great one.
You too.